My father kicked me out of the family, then tried to access my bank account. He never expected the bank manager to call the FBI on him. Please subscribe, and while you're at it, tell us where you're watching from. We love connecting with you all. I stood outside my childhood home at 2 in the morning, my keys useless against new locks. My father, Marcus, had changed them while I was at my engineering internship. 22 years old, and I was homeless because I'd refused to give him my savings. "Dad, please," I shouted, pounding the door. "My stuff is in there." The porch light flicked on. Marcus appeared, his face twisted with contempt. "You're not my son anymore, Jamal. Real men respect their fathers. Real men contribute to the family. I've been contributing. I paid rent all through college." My voice cracked. The neighbor's curtains twitched. "Your brother Deshaun needs that money for his business venture. Family comes first." Marcus's eyes were cold, calculating. This wasn't about family, it was about control. Deshaun's 28 and hasn't held a job in 5 years. I couldn't believe this. Why should I fund his failure? Because I said so. He stepped closer, his breath reeking of whiskey. "You think you're better than us now? Got that fancy internship at Richardson Technologies, making $30 an hour? You owe us." My stomach dropped. "How do you know my hourly rate?" He smiled, predatory and cruel. "I know everything about you, boy, including your bank account number. You should have given me access when I asked nicely." The door slammed. I heard the deadbolt click. I stood there, shaking, with nothing but my backpack and laptop. My phone buzzed, a text from my younger sister, "Keisha, I'm so sorry. He made me give him your banking info from the emergency contact list. Please forgive me." My blood ran ice cold. I drove to the nearest Walmart parking lot, my hands trembling on the wheel. At 2:47 a.m., I called my bank's 24-hour hotline. The automated system mocked me with cheerful efficiency until I finally reached a human. "First National Bank, this is Trevor speaking. How may I assist you?" "I need to freeze my account immediately. My father has my information, and I didn't authorize him to access it." The words tumbled out desperately. "I understand your concern, sir. Can you verify your identity?" Trevor's voice was professional, calm. After answering security questions, he continued, "Mr. Patterson, I'm showing no unauthorized access attempts yet. However, I can place an alert on your account." "Please do that. He threatened me tonight." I explained the situation, my voice breaking when I mentioned being locked out. "I'm placing a mandatory verbal authorization requirement. Nobody can access your account without speaking directly to you first. I'm also flagging this for our fraud prevention team." Trevor paused. "Mr. Patterson, do you have somewhere safe to stay?" "Working on it." I hung up and stared at my phone. Who could I call? My mother died when I was 16. My grandmother, Nana Grace, lived 3 hours away, but she was 81. I couldn't burden her at this hour. My best friend Darius answered on the first ring. "Jay, you good? It's 3 in the morning. Marcus kicked me out. Changed the locks. Can I crash with you?" "Say less. I'm at my girl's place, but I'll text you my apartment code right now. Make yourself at home, brother." As I drove toward Darius's apartment in downtown Atlanta, my phone exploded with messages. Unknown numbers. Your father's right. Ungrateful son. Family is everything. Marcus was already controlling the narrative. Darius's apartment was a sanctuary. I collapsed on his couch, but sleep wouldn't come. At dawn, I checked my bank app obsessively. My savings, $47,000 earned through 3 years of internships and careful budgeting, remained untouched. Then I saw it. A failed login attempt at 3:15 a.m. Another at 3:22 a.m. 5 more between 4 o'clock and 5 a.m. Someone was trying to crack my password using the security question method. The questions asked for my mother's maiden name, my first pet, my elementary school, all information Marcus possessed. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Jamal, it's your Aunt Rochelle. My father's older sister, someone I'd always respected. Baby, what's going on? Marcus called me crying, saying you stole money from him and ran away. That's a lie. I explained everything, the lockout, the threats, the attempted account access. Silence stretched between us. Then, that man's gone too far this time. Your mother, God rest her soul, she worried about this. About Marcus becoming like his father. What do you mean? Your grandfather was a con man, Jamal. Smooth talking, manipulative. Stole from everyone who loved him. When your mama got sick, she made me promise to watch out for you and Keisha. I've been blind. Aunt Rochelle's voice hardened. Come stay with me. I'm in Keisha. And Jamal. Don't feel guilty about protecting yourself. That afternoon, moving my few belongings into Aunt Rochelle's guest room, I received an email from First National Bank. Suspicious activity alert. Multiple failed login attempts detected. The war had begun. Aunt Rochelle's house smelled like lemon polish and the coconut oil she used in her hair salon downstairs. She ran Rochelle's Crown, a black-owned beauty business that had survived 30 years through recessions and gentrification. She understood money, hustle, and survival. Sit down, baby. Let me feed you first. She placed a plate of shrimp and grits in front of me, my mother's recipe. I nearly cried. Now talk to me straight, she said, settling across the table. What exactly did Marcus say about your money? He claimed I owed the family. That Deshawn needed $50,000 for some business plan Marcus is backing. A cryptocurrency investment scheme, I think. Rochelle's eyes narrowed. Lord have mercy. Marcus never learns. That's the third business opportunity this year. Last month, he tried to convince me to invest in some miracle cleaning product pyramid scheme. You're kidding. I wish I was. Jamal, your father's jealous of you. Has been since you got accepted to Georgia Tech. You represent everything he couldn't achieve. She reached across, squeezing my hand. Your mama was the ambitious one. Marcus rode her coattails, and when she passed, he lost his purpose. Now he's trying to drain yours. My phone buzzed. A text from Keisha, Dad's at the bank. He has your social security card and birth certificate. He says he's listing you as deceased to access your account as next of kin. My blood pressure spiked. That's fraud. That's actual federal fraud. Aunt Rochelle grabbed her keys. We're going to that bank right now. Which branch? First National on Peachtree Street. We arrived in 20 minutes, parking illegally. Inside, I approached the counter, breathless. I need to speak with a manager immediately. Someone's attempting to commit fraud using my identity. The bank manager, Gloria Herring, was a petite woman with steel in her eyes and 20 years of experience detecting financial crimes. She listened to my story in her office, taking notes with precise handwriting. Mr. Patterson, you did everything right by calling us last night. We've been monitoring your account. She turned her computer screen toward me. Your father attempted to access online banking 17 times. Then, at 9:47 this morning, he came to this branch. My heart hammered. What happened? He presented documentation claiming you died in a car accident last night. He had a forged death certificate printed from an online template. We see these frequently. He demanded immediate access to your funds as the surviving parent and executor. Oh my God. Aunt Rochelle's hand covered her mouth. Gloria continued, her voice clinical. Our protocol for death verification requires multiple government documents, obituary notices, and contact with the deceased's emergency contacts. Your father became agitated when we refused immediate access. He claimed he needed the money for funeral expenses. Where is he now? We asked him to wait in our conference room while we processed his request. He's been there for 40 minutes. Gloria's expression revealed nothing. Mr. Patterson, I need you to understand something. What your father attempted is identity theft and bank fraud, federal crimes carrying 5 to 30 years imprisonment. Before we proceed, I need to know, do you want to press charges? The room spun. Aunt Rochelle squeezed my shoulder. This was my father. The man who taught me to ride a bike, who came to my high school graduation. But also the man who'd abandoned me on the street and declared me dead for money. Can I see him first? I asked. Face to face. Gloria considered this. Yes, but I'll be present, and we're recording for security purposes. Do it. Marcus sat in the conference room, checking his phone. When I walked in, his face cycled through shock, fear, and finally rage, all in 3 seconds. Jamal. He stood, attempting a smile. Son, thank God. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Sit down, Marcus. I'd never called him by his first name before. The disrespect registered on his face like a slap. Explain to Ms. Herring why you told her I was dead. That was just, he looked at Gloria, at Aunt Rochelle, back to me. I panicked. You weren't answering your phone. I thought something happened after last night. I needed to access your account to make sure it was secure. By declaring me deceased and forging a death certificate. Gloria's voice could cut glass. Marcus's mask cracked. That boy owes me. I raised him, fed him, put a roof over his head for 18 years. That money's family money, and Deshawn's investment could triple it. We'd all profit. So this is about Deshawn's cryptocurrency scheme. I leaned forward. The one that's definitely a scam. It's not a scam. My son has vision, unlike you with your safe little internship. Deshawn could make us millionaires. Deshawn's broke because he falls for every con artist he meets. Just like you're doing now. My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. You chose him over me. Fine. But you don't get to rob me too. Marcus's face darkened. I made you. Everything you are is because of me. Everything I am is despite you. The words came out cold, final. Mom made me. Her life insurance, that you tried to spend on a boat, paid for my first year of college. Her savings bought my laptop. Her sacrifice gave me a chance. Don't you dare. She knew, didn't she? The realization hit me like lightning. She knew what you were. That's why she set up that insurance policy with me as the sole beneficiary. That's why she made Aunt Rochelle my contingent guardian in her will. She was protecting me from you. Silence filled the room like poison gas. Marcus lunged across the table. You ungrateful. Security was there in seconds, restraining him. Gloria pressed a button on her desk. We have a situation in conference room B. I gave you everything. Marcus screamed as they pulled him back. You're nothing without me. No, I said quietly. I'm finally something because I'm free of you. Gloria looked at me steadily. Mr. Patterson, I'm calling the police. And the FBI handles bank fraud. What's your decision? I thought of Keisha, still trapped in that house. Of Nana Grace, who'd cry when she learned her son was a criminal. Of the younger me who'd believed Marcus was a hero. Press charges. All of them. The FBI agent, Special Agent Linda Morrison, arrived within an hour. She was African American, probably late 40s, with a no-nonsense demeanor that reminded me of my mother. In Gloria's office, she laid out the situation with devastating clarity. Mr. Patterson, your father's actions constitute multiple federal offenses. Identity theft under 18 U.S.C. 1028, bank fraud under 18 U.S.C. 1344, and wire fraud for the electronic login attempts. We've been tracking a cryptocurrency scam ring targeting black families, promising huge returns through fake investments. Your brother Deshawn is on our radar. My stomach dropped. Deshawn's involved in something criminal. We believe he's a victim who became a recruiter. The scheme requires investors to bring in family members to level up. Your father was promised a $50,000 bonus for recruiting you. Agent Morrison showed me printed screenshots of text messages between Marcus and someone named Mr. Wellington. The messages detailed the entire plan, accessing my account, transferring funds, and splitting the recruitment bonus. They were going to steal everything, I whispered, and leave you with debt. This scam typically takes the initial investment, then encourages victims to take out loans for second-tier opportunities. We've seen families lose homes, retirement funds, college savings. She looked at me intently. Your refusal to hand over your information likely saved you from financial ruin. Most victims are coerced by family loyalty. Aunt Rochelle spoke up. What happens to Marcus now? He's being held pending arraignment. Given the premeditation, the forged death certificate, multiple access attempts, the conspiracy with the scam ring, bail will be substantial. Agent Morrison pulled out a card. Jamal, I'll need a detailed statement. Everything from when he first asked for money to today. For 3 hours, I recounted every conversation, every text message, every threat. Agent Morrison recorded it all with patient professionalism. When I mentioned Keisha's forced cooperation, her expression softened. Your sister's a minor. She was coerced. We'll need to interview her, but she's a witness, not a suspect. As the sun set, I sat in Aunt Rochelle's car, emotionally destroyed. Did I just destroy our family? Baby, she said gently, your father destroyed it the moment he chose money over his son. You just refused to go down with the ship. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You'll pay for this betrayal. Deshawn. Deshawn's threats escalated quickly. Over the next 48 hours, I received 37 calls from blocked numbers, dozens of texts calling me a snitch, a traitor, and worse. He created a Facebook post painting me as an ungrateful son who'd framed his innocent father out of greed. Family betrayal alert, it read. My brother Jamal Patterson is trying to send our dad to prison because dad asked to borrow money for a family emergency. Share this so everyone knows what kind of snake he is. He works at Richardson Technologies. Maybe they should know they hired a family-destroying liar. #family matters, #betrayed, #justice. The post got 47 shares before I saw it. My work email inbox filled with messages from strangers. You should be ashamed. Real men honor their fathers. I hope karma gets you. Darius called, furious. Yo, Deshawn's telling people you stole money from your dying grandmother. This is crazy. I sat in Aunt Rochelle's salon after hours, watching her sweep hair from the floor. I don't know what to do. He's destroying my reputation. Document everything, she advised. Screenshots, recordings if Georgia's one-party consent, which it is. Let him hang himself. She was right. I created a folder documenting every threat, every lie. Then I did something that felt terrifying. I posted the truth. My name is Jamal Patterson. My father attempted to commit bank fraud using my identity, and I pressed charges. Here are the facts. I included screenshots of the failed login attempts, the forged death certificate, redacted, and Agent Morrison's case number. I'm sharing this because lies spread faster than truth. I protected myself from financial exploitation. That's not betrayal, that's survival. The response was split. Half the comments supported me. Half called me disloyal. But the narrative was shifting. Then Keisha called, crying. Jamal, I'm scared. Dad's out on bail. He came home and trashed your old room. He's saying terrible things. Deshawn's here too, and they're planning something. Get out of that house. Come to Aunt Rochelle's. I'm only 17. He'll report me as a runaway. Agent Morrison's voice was grim when I called her. We anticipated this. I'm sending officers to collect Keisha under protective custody. She's a material witness, and given Marcus's behavior, we can argue she's at risk. Keisha arrived at Aunt Rochelle's at midnight, escorted by 2 police officers and a social worker named Ms. Tamara Banks. My sister looked like she'd aged 5 years in 3 days, dark circles under her eyes, her usually neat braids disheveled. I'm so sorry, she sobbed the moment she saw me. I gave him everything. Your banking info, your work schedule, even your apartment plans. He said he just wanted to help you budget better. I hugged her tight. You're 17. He manipulated you. This isn't your fault. Ms. Banks set up temporary guardianship paperwork while Aunt Rochelle made tea. In the living room, surrounded by the people who actually loved me, Keisha finally told the whole truth. It started 6 months ago, she began, hands shaking around her mug. Dad started getting these calls from Mr. Wellington. They'd talk for hours about financial freedom and generational wealth. Then Deshaun came home from wherever he'd been, Miami, I think, and he was different. Confident. Flashy. He had a new car, designer clothes. Rented, Aunt Rochelle muttered. Classic con artist move. Dad became obsessed. He quit his job at the warehouse, said he was going to be rich. He started pressuring everyone for money. He took out a second mortgage on the house without telling anyone. I found the papers in his desk. Keisha pulled out her phone, showing us photos of documents. He owes $180,000 now. The house is underwater. My blood ran cold. Our childhood home. He's going to lose it. The first payment's due in 2 weeks, and he's already spent the money. That's why he was so desperate for your savings. He told Mr. Wellington you had $50,000, and Wellington promised to flip it to $200,000 in 90 days. Dad believed him. Agent Morrison arrived 20 minutes later. She looked at Keisha's documentation with increasing concern. This is bigger than we thought. The mortgage fraud alone is another federal charge. Keisha, I need you to walk me through everything. For 2 hours, my sister detailed a conspiracy that made my situation look minor. Marcus had convinced 12 people in our old neighborhood to invest in Wellington's scheme, including elderly Mrs. Foster, who'd given her entire retirement fund of $73,000. Mrs. Foster. I remembered her. She used to give me butterscotch candies and let me use her pool. She trusted him. Everyone did, Keisha said miserably. Because he was your dad. Because your mom was respected in the community. He used her memory to scam people. That broke something in me. I spent the next morning contacting every victim Keisha had identified. Mrs. Foster answered her door in a bathrobe, her eyes red from crying. Jamal. Baby, I heard you and your daddy had a falling out. She ushered me inside to a home I remembered being immaculate. Now it looked bare, furniture missing, photos removed from walls. Mrs. Foster, what happened? I needed to sell things. Your father convinced me to invest my savings. He said it would triple in 3 months, and I could finally afford that hip surgery. Her voice cracked. It's been 5 months. I can't reach Mr. Wellington. The website's gone. Your father won't return my calls. I sat with her for an hour, documenting everything. Then I visited Mr. Jackson down the street, then the Rodriguez family, then Pastor Williams from our old church. Same story, different amounts. Marcus had stolen over $400,000 from our community, people who'd supported our family after Mom died. By sunset, I had 12 sworn statements and a growing fury that made my hands shake. Agent Morrison met me at a coffee shop. This is good work, Jamal. We're building a RICO case now, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations. Marcus wasn't just a victim of the scam, he became a co-conspirator. What about the people he stole from? If we recover any assets, they'll be prioritized in restitution. But honestly, she looked at me sadly. Most of that money's gone. Wellington's probably in another country by now. I drove back to Aunt Rochelle's, my phone buzzing constantly. The victims had formed a group chat. They wanted justice. They wanted their money back. They wanted Marcus to pay. One message stood out. From Pastor Williams, your mother would be proud of you, son. You're standing up when everyone else is falling down. That's what real manhood looks like. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Mrs. Foster selling her furniture, about Pastor Williams' church struggling because he'd invested the building fund. These weren't just victims, they were my community. My extended family. Deshaun posted again, my brother's helping the FBI destroy black families. He's a traitor to his own people. I screenshot it, added it to the evidence folder, and finally understood, this wasn't about family loyalty anymore. This was about justice. 3 months later, federal prosecutors offered Marcus a plea deal, 15 years for bank fraud, identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy. He rejected it, demanding a trial. His court-appointed attorney, a young public defender named Michael Voss, looked overwhelmed. Your father believes he can convince a jury he was trying to help you, Agent Morrison explained during a pretrial meeting. He's going with a concerned parent defense. He'll claim he thought you were in danger, that he was protecting family assets. With a forged death certificate. I couldn't believe it. Desperate people create desperate narratives. She reviewed my testimony preparation. You'll be questioned about your relationship with your father, every conversation about money, your refusal to help Deshaun. The defense will try to paint you as selfish and vindictive. Aunt Rochelle attended every preparation session. Let them try. We have truth on our side. The community victims would testify too. Mrs. Foster, despite her health issues, insisted on taking the stand. That man used your mother's memory to rob me. I'm going to look him in the eye and say it. The prosecution's case was devastating. They had 17 documented login attempts. The forged death certificate with Marcus's fingerprints. Text messages between Marcus and Deshaun discussing securing the funds. Wellington's emails outlining the recruitment bonus. Testimony from 12 community victims. The fraudulent mortgage documents. My testimony about being locked out and threatened. But Marcus had a card to play. One I didn't see coming. 2 weeks before trial, his attorney filed a motion to introduce character witnesses. The list made my stomach turn. Nana Grace, my father's mother, who was flying in from Birmingham. My uncle Terence, Marcus's younger brother. And somehow, impossibly, my high school guidance counselor, Mrs. Patterson, no relation, who'd known my family for years. They're going to attack your character, the prosecutor, Assistant U.S. Attorney Jennifer Washington, warned me. Be prepared for them to dig up every mistake you've ever made. I thought about my teenage years. The time I got suspended for fighting. My 2-week experiment with marijuana at 16. The C I got in chemistry junior year because I was too busy working to study. They can try, I said. But the evidence doesn't lie. The night before trial, I sat in Aunt Rochelle's guest room, now officially my room. Keisha knocked softly. You ready? She asked. I don't know. Are you? She was testifying about the coercion, about Dad's planning. I'm terrified. But Mrs. Foster called me. She said testifying is how we take our power back. She's right. I looked at my sister, nearly 18 now, applying to colleges far from Atlanta. Mom would be proud of us. She'd be furious at Dad, Keisha corrected. But yeah, proud of us for fighting back. The trial lasted 8 days. Marcus sat at the defense table in a cheap suit, his expression cycling between remorseful and defiant. Deshaun attended every day, glaring at me from the gallery. Nana Grace wept quietly in the front row. The prosecution was surgical. Agent Morrison testified about the scam ring, showing charts of money flows and victim impacts. Gloria Herring from the bank detailed the fraud attempt with chilling precision. Each community victim took the stand, describing how Marcus had exploited their trust. Mrs. Foster's testimony broke the courtroom. In a wheelchair now, she pointed at Marcus with a shaking finger. You told me you were investing for your son's future. You said Mary, God rest her soul, would want me to help her boy. You lied in a dead woman's name. Marcus's attorney tried to discredit her, suggesting she'd made a poor investment choice. Mrs. Foster's response was devastating. I didn't invest in a business. I gave money to a friend because he said he was desperate. That's not poor judgment. That's betrayal. When I testified, the defense tried everything. They brought up the suspended fight. I explained I defended Keisha from bullies. The marijuana, I admitted it. explained I'd stopped immediately. The C in chemistry. I'd been working 40 hours a week to save for college because Marcus spent Mom's insurance money on a boat. So you were angry at your father, the defense attorney pressed. I was hurt. There's a difference. Hurt enough to fabricate fraud charges. I didn't fabricate anything. The forged death certificate isn't an opinion. The login attempts aren't imaginary. The stolen community funds aren't a misunderstanding. Judge Patricia Coleman sustained the prosecution's objection, but the point was made. Then came Marcus's testimony. He claimed he'd been worried about me, that I'd seemed distant and troubled. The death certificate was a desperate mistake because he thought I'd actually died. The login attempts were him trying to secure my assets from hackers. And the community investments. AUS Washington asked. I believed in the opportunity. I was trying to help everyone. By taking a recruitment bonus. Silence. By mortgaging your house without telling your minor daughter. More silence. By threatening to make your son's life hell if he didn't comply. Marcus looked at me finally. What I saw in his eyes wasn't remorse. It was rage that I'd fought back. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty. On all counts. Marcus showed no emotion as the verdict was read. Deshawn stormed out. Nana Grace collapsed, sobbing. I felt empty. No triumph, no satisfaction. Just the hollow ache of necessary justice. Sentencing was scheduled for 6 weeks later. Marcus faced up to 30 years. As we left the courthouse, a reporter asked how I felt. I feel like I survived, I said. That's enough. Marcus received 23 years in federal prison. The judge, clearly disgusted, called it a profound betrayal of family, community, and basic human decency. Deshawn was indicted separately for his role in the scam. He took a plea deal for 5 years. The house was foreclosed. Everything Marcus owned was seized for restitution. The victims would recover maybe 30 cents on the dollar, not nearly enough, but something. 6 months after sentencing, I stood in Aunt Rochelle's salon, now helping manage the books on weekends. Richardson Technologies had promoted me to a full-time engineering position after my internship. I'd moved into my own apartment. Small, but mine. Keisha had started at Spelman College on a full scholarship. Nana Grace called occasionally. She'd disowned Marcus but struggled with guilt. I should have seen the signs, she'd say. I'd remind her that even people we love can make monstrous choices. Mrs. Foster's hip surgery happened eventually. I'd organized a community fundraiser that covered half the cost. She still gave me butterscotch candies when I visited. The other victims were healing too. Slowly. Pastor Williams' Church recovered through congregation donations. The Rodriguez family downsized but stabilized. Mr. Jackson, the oldest victim, said something that stuck with me. Your father stole my money, but you restored my faith in young people. That's worth something. One evening, sorting paperwork in the salon, I found an old photo. My parents on their wedding day, Mom in white, Marcus looking genuinely happy. Before addiction to quick schemes. Before Mom's death broke something in him. Before greed consumed what little good remained. You keep staring at that, Aunt Rochelle observed. Trying to remember if he was ever really good, or if I just wanted him to be. Both can be true. People contain multitudes. Baby. Your father had good in him once. He chose to kill it. She squeezed my shoulder. You chose different. My phone buzzed. Agent Morrison, Wellington arrested in Costa Rica. Extradition pending. Your testimony will be needed. I typed back, I'll be there. Keisha texted, proud of you, big brother. Mom would be too. I looked around the salon, at Aunt Rochelle's 30 years of legitimate success, at the community photos on the wall, at the life I was building through honest work. Marcus had tried to make me believe I owed him my future. Instead, I'd learned that the only thing I owed was to myself, dignity, honesty, and the courage to stand up when someone tries to tear me down. My father kicked me out of the family. He tried to steal my entire financial future. He declared me dead to rob me blind. But I survived. I testified. I protected my community. And every day I wake up free from his manipulation is a victory. The bank manager called the FBI. The FBI brought justice. And I learned that sometimes protecting yourself from family isn't betrayal, it's survival. If you believe everyone deserves to protect themselves from financial abuse, hit that subscribe button. Only manipulators and scammers won't. Comment "I stand for justice" if you're not siding with people like Marcus. And if you can't stand family members who exploit their own children, comment "Everyone deserves respect and dignity." Let's stand together against exploitation.